Hey, just like that, we're live. But I like to check Facebook before I bring my guest up to make sure everything is copacetic. Well, see, there's why I do it right there. I've been doing some editing, have the wrong speaker hooked up. Hold on one second. I bet it's better now. Yep, it all looks good. Catching up with a buddy of mine. Everybody in the around here knows him, but I need to say thanks to my sponsors, the Alchemy Med Spa, Optimize You, Granite Garage Floors, The Barn Nursery, the Vascular Institute of Chattanooga, and Chattanooga Concrete. And Jason and I are going to be doing a podcast next week. He's my MMA buddy, and he's the real deal. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So stay tuned for that. Let me pull that off the screen. Um, Listen, I met this guy probably in the mid 90s, late 90s. I was at Talk Radio as a sales rep. I knew him as the car guy. And when I was out doing, see, young folks, we had to do these things called cold calls back in the day. We had to go knock on doors of businesses we did not know and just say, hello, would you like to do business with me, sir or ma'am? Well, your car needs gas. And this guy was conveniently located for one of those places that I used to travel around. Let's just bring him up. He's Steve Ray. 3, 2, 1. What's up, Steve Ray?
Man, look at all those sponsors. It's like Sunday night football.
Man, listen,
Got it
they
going
are
on.
I'm trying to convince them just as long as they, I'm the what is it, the man behind the curtain. Just don't pay attention. Just keep sponsoring. Just
Yeah,
keep
that's right.
sponsoring.
That's
Uh,
right.
Hey, I want to start off. Of course, we'll talk about your barbecue and hot dogs. But you, before we came live, were telling me you opened up. You're a business guy, business savvy. You've been around a long time. Tell all these young entrepreneurs out there the one of the smartest decisions you ever made was the first day you opened your gas station. What day was that?
I figured I'd open on Christmas Eve of 1983. We bought that gas station and it had been closed for about 3 or 4 years. I actually took the plywood off of the windows, and when we turned the water on, we had a plumber there, and we turned the water on, Clint. And I'm gonna tell you, it leaked. It was leaking like the Exxon Valdez. There was water everywhere,
Wow.
and it took us a week to get all the plumbing back in shape. And we got behind. We were trying to open up in November, and
Right.
one thing led to the other. And Christmas Eve, the guys said, we'll have it ready, by Christmas, and it was ready on the 23rd. And I said, well, it's opening on the 24th. So I went in that Christmas Eve morning and opened the gas station.
But it was right on the exit. I'm imagining it's a travel day. That's a pretty good travel day. I bet it wasn't that bad.
It was pretty slow.
I was trying to
Back
help,
then,
man.
yeah, I know. Back then, Ooltewah was just a wide spot in the road, man. There was nothing in Ooltewah.
That's
There
what I
was
was going to ask you. How many
nothing but
businesses?
cows and fields.
Yeah, were you by yourself kind of in that area? I mean, that's 40 years ago. Ooltewah, people traveling it now don't realize that was not a well developed place.
No, I think there were like 4 gas stations on that exit, and they were all just little gas stations. The only restaurant there was a Cream House,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was is a legendary. And man, that was it. I mean, that was it. We didn't even have a grocery. We didn't even have a grocery store in Ooltewah in 1985.
Wow.
We had to go to Shallowford Road to buy our groceries.
Have you
You
been
know
to
where I had
Live?
the bank at?
Where?
I was a First Tennessee Bank customer, and my closest bank was at Highway 153 and 58 Highway. That branch.
Wow, that was a
I had to go to
drive.
the bank every day. I had to go that far from Ooltewah out to there. Go to the bank. It's
Ha-
terrible.
have you the development that's happened around you, especially the last 10 to 20 years? Because I remember coming home from Carson Newman, it wasn't even that developed, and that they've redesigned the freeways and everything. Has it been good for? I mean, do you like it, or are you one of those people too? Now you're like, okay, it's enough.
No,
The
I
traffic's here.
I love it.
Good.
I love it. You can't move somewhere and say, okay, I'm here. Nobody else can come. There's a
Dadgummit.
lot of that goes on, and I hear all the complaints of the. I hear the complaints. They don't keep up the roads, and they don't, but they don't anywhere. You know,
Right.
so you just got to learn to live with it. It's great living out here now. You got, my goodness, if you want fine dining, you can go up to the Wine Down. You've got Ace Hardware. You've got 1885. You've got the best donuts. We got the best donuts out there at Cambridge Square. Who would ever thought we'd had a Cambridge Square out
That's
here?
what I was thinking.
Oh
Cambridge
my
Square,
goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think you're talking about Tasty, our buddy Tony
Yeah,
Anthony
Tasty
McGinnis. Yeah.
Donuts. And then he's got that ice cream shop across the way from him.
Hmm.
And I mean, they got a dress shop. If you're a girl, you can get your dresses there and stuff. And man, it's great to be in here. That's why everybody's moving out here. It's great to be out here.
Were you a business owner before you started this? I mean, or did you come from an entrepreneurial background? I mean, or did you just drive down the road one day and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm buying a gas station."
No, I was a newspaper reporter at the Knoxville Journal.
I had no
I got a
idea.
journal. I got a journalism degree from UT, and I was working at the paper and broke. And you know what? It was funny. I was making $250 a week in 1981, 1982, and I worked the night shift. I worked from 12. I went in, and we were the morning paper, so I worked from like noon to 10. And after we'd put the paper to bed, we were all up, so there was a little bar that we'd go to and hang out, and we were there at the bar one night, and I happened to be me and the other police reporter. I was on the police beat. His name was Ted Griffith. Ted's a great guy, good newsman. And I said, Ted, and he'd been there 17 years. I said, how much do you make a year? And he said, I make 350 a week, and I was making 250 a week. And I thought, my goodness, in 17 years I could be making 350 a week. That's when I decided to get out of the business. We just went black, by the way.
Oh, I'm good on my end. Yeah, we're
I
good.
don't know what
Yeah,
happened on. I don't know what happened on my end.
yeah,
Can
we're
you still
still
see me?
live. I'm on Facebook. I can still see you and hear you. Yeah,
Okay, I
and
don't know what
we're
happened.
live on Facebook right now too. It's all good. I'm checking it on
There we
Facebook.
go. Okay,
Yeah, we're all
sometime
good.
that's all right. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's still you got to have the newspaper business. But how did you find a gas station in Ottawa from Knoxville?
Well, I came down to Chattanooga and was working at a company that I used to travel around, and I had a sales job, and I'm not a salesman. The one thing I'm many things, but a good salesman I'm not. I tell people I'm a concierge. I can get you what you need, but I'm not a very good salesman. But I had this job where I just drove around basically taking orders, and I called on service stations, and I did that for about 9-10 months, and I thought, you know what, this is I got to know all the gas station owners, and they were all, everybody thought of gas station owner the dumbest guy in town, but all these guys were rich, and they lived in big houses, and they drove nice cars, and I said, you know what, I want that's the kind of guy I want to be.
Right.
So the opportunity came to go open that gas station there in Noodle, and I jumped on it. Not that I'm rich or drive nice cars now, but it's been a great place to raise a family.
I can tell you this: you're making more than you would have been if you'd have stuck as being a reporter.
Well, I was thinking that the other day I'd be up to 650 a week.
You've been in the money, man. Hey,
I'd be
so
driving I'd be driving a nice Volkswagen.
yeah, I got another story behind it, and then we'll talk about how it's kind of evolved. Two questions. One, the name of it, Midnight. Where did you come up with the name? And two, being a business owner now, you go from working for somebody, being a journalist and a reporter. Now you're a business owner. Those first few years, ups and downs, kind of walk me through that. How challenging was that? And did you find yourself loving it?
No, I hated it. First 2 years were awful. Ottawa was not a welcoming community in those days. If you weren't from Ottawa, you were chastised. People would come by and say, you'll never make it. You're not from here. I had a guy cuss me out one time. I charged him $2 to fix a tire, and he cussed me out. Said Mutt
Wow.
down the street, guy down the street only charged $1 to fix a tire, $2. And I wasn't from there, but I just hung in there and got to meet people. But then 80, 85, 86, we started to get we got a grocery store in 85. Bob Corker built the Red Food Store there where the Samaritan Center is now. Biggest day I ever saw in Ottawa. And then things started happening. Then we got a Hardee's, and then we got a Wendy's, then we got Ace Hardware, then we got an Arby's, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 we're getting all these things, and people started moving out there. And then that's when it really started to happen, about 86, 87, 88's when it really got to be interesting. I started really liking it.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the name, but before I do, hey, when did you get that bank coming next to you? Because that made banking a lot easier. I would think. Now you got a
Uh,
bank branch.
Meigs County Bank opened up, I guess, in 1984, and I was the first commercial customer. I was down there waiting for them to open. I said, guys, you don't know how happy I am. There was a American National Bank, but it was way over in Collegedale. That was the only other. That was the closest bank that was.
You were there like
And
a concert ticket. You were like overnight camping out.
I was. I couldn't wait to get that checking account opened. And
That's
it's good. I
okay.
did business. I did business with them. I still do business with them. They're regions now.
Talk to me about the name. Where'd the name come from?
I opened up. I was a Chevron station for about 20, 25 years,
Yeah.
and
Steve A. Chevron. I remember that.
yeah, yeah, and Chevron, just a big, heartless, cold company. I was just a number to them, and so I went shopping around, and I got with Ross Benton, who owned Benton Oil, and he had this idea of having a local. We're not a franchise, but a local name for several different independent people.
Yeah.
And he said he was up late one night and he was burning the midnight oil, and that's how
Ah.
he came up with the name. And at first I thought, that's a dumb name, midnight oil. I don't know, but when I put up the sign, and it was really, people really like it, and
Mm.
of course now I love it. And
Oh yeah.
now I'm gonna tell you something. And of all the decisions that I've made in 40 years, that was the best decision I ever made, was to go with Ross at Benton Oil. And that's since been sold to Sweetwater Valley Oil and Scott Shank on the Shankle family. They are fantastic people. But that was the best thing I ever did, was go over to Midnight Oil.
Well, as you start the entrepreneurial journey, what was the everybody has it. I've owned small businesses. I've got a lot of friends that do it. I've helped small businesses for, almost 30 years. What were the things that you struggled with the most? I mean, most business owners are good at two or three things and then they suck at one or two things, and everybody's things are different. Did you find yourself there was some stuff you were like, man, I got to find help. I'm not good at that stuff.
Well, I was always I always fixed my own cars when I was a kid, and I had a little bit of car knowledge, just enough to be dangerous. And I worked out in the bays, and I probably shouldn't have done that. And for years, I worked out in the bays and tried to run the business, and that's the hardest thing. Back in those days, too, you didn't have computers. You wrote the tickets, and I'd be trying to write a ticket nice and have greasy hands and what have you. And it was hot. We didn't have air conditioning back then, and there's just a little small gas station, and nothing like it is now. And that was probably the biggest mistake I made, was trying to do too much, which is probably the sin of every entrepreneur when
Yep.
they start out. It wasn't until I was there about 10, 12 years that I figured out that if I'm going to be really successful at this, I'm going to have to, let people do what I hire them to do, and let them do their job. And I need to do my job of overseeing them and then trying to be more customer friendly.
Well,
And it
that's
worked. It worked.
Well, and that's the thing too. A lot of entrepreneurs, and they're right. Nobody cares more about your business than you do, but people have different strengths, and they can bring something to the business that they can do stuff. Sometimes you go, I would have never even thought of doing something that good or
You're
that
right.
way.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
All right. So then, and I told you this a couple years back. It's been probably longer than that. I just noticed I was scrolling over Facebook quite a bit, and I saw you post stuff every now and then. I get a picture when gases were crazy and your gas prices were pretty low. You'd be like, come on up to exit here. Da-da, it's gas is good. Like I've got a good gas price, or you'd
Yeah.
have a picture of you and a customer. And then all of a sudden I started seeing ribs and I started seeing food. And I'm like, well, dang it. I'm getting hungry. When did that start? How did that start?
About 11 years ago, I am I'm sitting home. It's a rainy Sunday. Nothing going on. I'm flipping channels, and I came across this show on I think it was the FYI television, or Do It Yourself TV, or something like that. Then it was Barbecue Pitmasters. They were playing season one marathon, and I watched a little bit and scrolled on up. Then I went back to it, and I said, "What is this?" And I watched it, and these guys were cooking, and they had these little kind of camp setups, cooking on these real cool cookers, and they were smack talking. They were cooking for money, and they had reward ceremonies. And when they won, they were jumping up and down, and when they lost, they were mad and cussing. And I said, man, that's something I could get into. That's because it's a competition, and the years had gone by that you're too old to play sports. Your golf game gets to a point where you're not getting any better, and
Yeah.
you're looking for something to soothe that competition, that itch. And I talked to my buddy Dan Grease, one of the Chattanooga's top realtors, and he knew a little bit about barbecue. I knew nothing about it. Clint, I didn't even like to cook steaks, man. I didn't even know how to cook steak. I mean, if we were having steak, and my wife said, "Want me to cook steaks?" Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I wasn't king of the grill, master of the grill, or anything like that. I could care less about it. And then we went and bought an old smoker, and we and what I did, I sat down on the television one day, and I was watching that barbecue pitmaster series, and I was writing down the recipes that those guys were giving on television, and that's how I got my first recipes.
You're kidding
And then,
me.
And then we went and we competed at a contest up in Cleveland, and we competed in the amateur side, and we came in 6 out of 15, which I thought was pretty good
Yeah.
first time. And then I saw where the pros it didn't cost much more to enter the pro side, and they got a lot more money. And so we only did one amateur contest, and we turned pro right after that. And the rest is history, as they say. We started competing, and then haven't looked back. It's great. It's a great hobby. It's a great lifestyle, and I've kind of morphed from competition into the retail side where I really like to help people that are cooking in the backyard now. And I like to teach. I teach a lot of classes, and
Do you
it is
real
just
quick? I hate to interrupt you, but when you say
what's all right.
you teach a lot of classes, do you have that set up at your place?
Yeah, I've got an area in the back where I can set up and teach. Yeah,
Wow,
I taught a little brisket class in our kitchen just 2 Saturdays ago. I
that's
had a couple of guys in
unbelievable.
there. Yeah, and it's getting started in the barbecue. If you just watch it on the online and on YouTube and stuff, people put out a lot of content that doesn't make sense, and they're just looking for hits or trying to make money on their YouTube channels and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they put out stuff that's dumb, stupid, and barbecue is not complicated. People try to make it complicated. It's not. It is as uncomplicated as a way to cook as you can,
All
and
right.
we just try to point them in that direction.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite thing, and then we'll get back to the business side of it. What's your favorite thing to go from non-griller to now griller? What's your favorite thing to cook? Are you a barbecue dude? Do you like doing the steaks now? If somebody were going to say you're going to cook and serve one thing, what is it you want to do?
Brisket.
Really? Okay.
I am a brisket whisperer. Clint,
I just got a
there's no
creepy thing with you leaning down going, "Cook, baby, cook."
I do. I talk to him, man. You got to talk to him. Clint, I love it. I love cooking briskets. It's not they try to make it complicated. It's not. I think that it's a long cook. You got to stay with it. And but the turning it from a basically a piece of shoe leather into something that's tender and juicy, and the fat content is there. And I mean, that's the best part of meat is the fat.
Yeah.
You render that fat into the meat, and you combine them and make them as one. And people when they eat it, that when somebody eats a good piece of brisket, that's you get the best reaction from them. They go, "Wow, this stuff is good."
I
And
was
I
gonna
love,
say that though, because if you get bad brisket, you know it immediate.
yep,
First bite, you're like, okay, this I'm gonna cover it up with my napkin and move it around a little bit and then
yep.
chunk it.
You're exactly right because it's dry, it's tough, and it's easy to tell a good piece from a bad piece.
Do you
I
have a
love it. I
secret?
love it.
Do you have a secret?
No, there is no secret to barbecue. All these guys that say they got secrets. There's no secret. And on a brisket, I cook it in my smoker. I set it at 285 degrees, and that's high. That's hot. I cook what they call hot and fast, but you can do it any way you want. And I cook that brisket. I season it, trim it, season it, and I cook in a pan. Put it in a pan, put it on the smoker, and I let it get in there, and I spritz it with butter about every hour. And when it reaches 165 degrees, I put two big slices of butter on the front end on the point, and then another piece of butter on the flat. And I wrap it with aluminum foil and set my temperature up on my smoker to 310 degrees. And I cook it till the internal temperature of that brisket's 210 degrees, and it's done, and it's wonderful.
And that's the secret. No
That
secret.
that's the rest. There's no secret.
How
Anybody
about your
says they got
partner? How about your partner? What do you call him the whisperer of? What would you say he's the best
Dan
at?
Dan and I don't cook anymore. We
Ah.
since we don't cook together. Dan got into the RV thing,
Oh,
and
okay.
but I've had a couple guys help me, and but I usually at a contest I have gone to a lot of schools since then, and I've incorporated a lot of the things I've learned from the real big professionals that are out there, and I pretty much do my own. If you're on my team, we're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, you probably want to be on somebody else's team.
Okay. Well, now let's
Fair
take a
enough.
step.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely fair enough. Your
Yeah.
team, your
Yeah.
rules, your house, your rules.
It's my whoever owns the trailer makes the rules. I
That's
own the
ex-
trailer.
that's exactly right. All right, so let's back up. Let's say Clint's cooking a steak. What's a mistake people make when they cook steaks or cook most of the time on grills? I have something I think people do, and I have a tendency to do it myself.
Well, I think the biggest mistake is they don't have a tool, and that's an instant read thermometer.
Oh,
I'm kind of I'm a guy that I keep my thermometer right there, especially when I'm doing a steak. I did a steak today. I did a cowboy ribeye at the station, and the way I did that, I set my smoker at 285 degrees, put the ribeye on the grill, and I smoked it. You know, cooking it kind of slow, cooked it about 45, 50 minutes until it got up to 125 degrees. Then I took it inside and I put it on the griddle, the super hot griddle, and I caramelized each side of that steak and made it real hard on each side and turned that meat into that juicy caramelized, just
mm,
thick goodness. And
mm.
I sliced it up and gave it out to some people that were right there before we started serving lunch, and it turned out great. It was medium rare, perfect.
I
And
had a go ahead.
I
I'm
use
sorry.
that. You got to use that thermometer, and you got to go into the side of it, and
Mm.
you got to stay with it. You can't put a steak on the grill and then go. I'm gonna go in and watch a quarter of football, then come back and say, "Oh, geez, this thing's ruined." Yeah, no kidding. You got to stay with the steak because steak doesn't take long to cook.
No.
I guess the biggest mistake I see are people that think they got to cook a steak at 800 degrees. I usually cook a steak at 450, 500 degrees on the grill.
See, one of the things that I've done in the past that I turn it too much. I'll flip, I flip it, I flip it. I'm like, man, it's too much. It's not supposed to be that much work. Just turn it once or twice and be done with it.
I turn it once, but
Yeah.
no, Clint, I'm gonna tell you, there is a school out there where of thought that people they rotate that grill or they
Mm.
rotate that steak, up and down. There is a method. I've done it. It's kind of weird to me because I'm one time I put the grill on and I use my thermometer. I'm working on that bottom and then I flip it
Yep.
over and then that's it. For me, that's it. After I flip it over, I hit it with the butter. Then I get some butcher barbecue steak and brisket rub,
Mm.
put it on there, and boom, I'm done. I pick it up. It's 135 degrees, and let it sit there and rest. It gets up to about 138 degrees, and it's perfect.
How when did you start selling products out of the store? And do you actually sell do you sell hot dogs? I've got this picture I showed them when we came on.
Yeah,
You sell hot dogs and stuff. Do you cook your own hot dogs now too?
yeah. I've got like a little carry out restaurant now. I'm open on Wednesday, Thursdays, and
I
Fridays.
had no
From
idea.
Yeah, from 11 until 2, and I sell Kogel's hot dogs and barbecue. I do pulled pork barbecue. We do brisket sometimes too. This hot dog I ate a hot dog. One of these hot dogs is called Kogel's.
Mhm.
They're from Flint, Michigan. It's Koegels. You can only get them in Flint. I have them shipped in once a week. It's a Vienna, which is a hot dog that's got a casing around it, and it snaps when you eat it.
Mm.
And Clint, I'm no hot dog connoisseur, but I know a good hot dog when I
Right.
taste it. I love hot dogs. I don't know about you.
Mhm.
I'm not kidding. If somebody puts down a filet mignon, a hamburger, or a hot dog in front of me, and they say, "Go ahead and pick Steve," I grab the hot dog every time. I just love them.
Yeah.
Steamed bun, just love it. And this hot dog tasted so good to me that when I decided to sell them, I went ahead and bought a bunch. I had them sent in and got the ball rolling on them. And that's what we sell, and they're delicious. They're out of Michigan, and they come down here once a year, and they sell out of the back of a truck. That's where I first bought mine. And you go there, Clint. They were here about 6 weeks ago. They go over there to Shallerford Village Drive to the Fairfield. I think it's the Fairfield Inn
Mhm.
that's over there, Fairview or something like that. They set up in the back, and you buy the products right out of the back of a truck. It's really neat. And you go over there, and everybody there is from Michigan. Everybody's got them big gold emblems on their coats and hats,
God bless them.
and they just love it. And people come in all the time from Michigan, and they just get a little part of home. They go, I didn't know you had Kogels. We love Kogels, and they're big up north, and
Yeah.
they're getting big down here. The people they are. It's a better hot dog. I'm promise you.
Do you have people now that I mean, now that you've opened up the restaurant, first of all, how long have you been doing that, the
Three
to-go part?
months. 3
Okay.
months. Yeah.
Have you
Now it's
gotten
not a
those
restaurant. It's a
it's a
to-go thing. I've got a
carry out.
couple chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gas station food. I mean, you come in, and the funniest part about this, when I was getting ready to open, I called down to the Hamilton County Health Department,
Mhm.
and I said, "Hey, I'm going to open up this thing, And the guy goes, "Let me ask you a question." He goes, "If I'm going to go in there, Steve, do I go through the gas station door or do I go in through the Owl's Nest barbecue door?" And I said, "Well, I guess you'll go through the gas station door." He goes, "That's what I thought." He goes, "I've been there before." He goes, "You goes, the state regulates you, not the county." So the guy,
Wow.
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So the guy put me in touch with the people from the state who are great. They came in, did their inspection, gave me the thumbs up, and we just had our second inspection just about 6 weeks ago. Got a 98.
Good for you.
So it was kind of neat that's how they decide. All the gas stations food is regulated by the state, by the Department of Agriculture,
Hmm.
believe it or not. And then if it's like a food truck that travels or a restaurant, the Hamilton County Health Department does.
Have you
I just
already
thought I'd throw that in. That's kind of cool.
Oh, it's very cool. I did not That's stuff you don't know
Yeah,
unless you're in the business. Have you
yeah,
already established some regulars that come around and eat and talk
yeah.
and hang out? I
Oh,
figured you'd
oh,
get them.
oh yeah, oh yeah. There's the same regulars that hang around and came around and ate food free when I'd serve it, because we'd always making some. Now they got to pay for it. They don't like that worth a flip.
That's okay though. They'll still come around.
That's all right.
That's where you get your personalities and the fun conversations. Now I know you do YouTube, excuse me, and you still are doing that. Do you bring different people on, or do you have a host specific on that one?
No, the YouTube channel is usually something we make during the day. Now I've got a friend of mine, Pete Branton. He does a show with me on Saturday mornings at 9 on my Facebook page,
Yeah.
and that's the Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page. We beam it to that, and lots of times we'll cook something. We'll just do a real fast grilling thing, and we've done several different things. I mean, we've done a brisket on there before. The one that we had already cooked, I showed how to trim it, and then we
Hmm.
cooked one overnight and showed the end result. And we'll post those up on YouTube and
Um,
out, which is Owl's Nest Barbecue again.
So, but do you? I guess my question on that though is, do you? Is he your every Saturday host with you on that, or do you have different people that come on
Yeah,
with you?
no, no, Pete does it
Pete's
every Saturday. Yeah, he's just a friend. He lives behind me here in the neighborhood, and he comes down on Saturdays. We hang around, and I've got him and Jeff Maxwell, another friend of mine that hangs around. He sells food there also. He's got a team called Smoking Goats, and he's got a trailer set up next to the gas station. So when I'm not selling food on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, Jeff sells food. So we have food there
all the
Monday
time.
through Saturday, 11 until 8.
Come get your
Isn't that neat?
tires fixed, gas up. We can fix your
Exactly.
car, grab you a hot
Exactly.
dog and some barbecue. I'll
Exactly
make a
right.
prediction. I bet you within the next 6 months that you
I'm going
just
to
start.
franchise this thing.
I was going to say, dude, it sounds like a little piece of Mayberry where you just have the characters hanging
Oh,
out with you.
it is. Oh, it is. It's
I'll make a prediction within the next 6 months of you doing this. You will meet people in there and you'll start having conversations from the Owl's Nest with just people that have come in to eat the food. You'll do it like we're doing now. You'll just have somebody come on with you and start having them because you'll meet characters.
oh yeah. There's all. I mean, gosh, when I've been there 40 years, you talk about character. I've known. I mean, we've interviewed we interviewed a homeless guy one time that we fed.
Yeah.
We interviewed we interviewed the guy that does helps me with my yard work, that trims my bushes, little Pedro Escobar,
Yeah.
about that tall.
That's hilarious.
And I mean, we'll interview anybody. I mean, we keep a microphone there with us when somebody wanders in the store, and they had, a lot of time they don't know we're on there, and they'll start talking to us. Well, yeah, come on over,
Come on,
and we'll
get in the
start.
camera. You don't know that
Yeah,
you're there.
yeah, we
Yeah.
start talking. It's just it's just a goofy little thing, but I like doing that kind of stuff because I'm like you. I like talking to characters.
Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit, and then maybe this will make sense to folks because a guy that owns a gas station and does barbecue and has YouTube seems to have a pretty good presence on media. You had a radio show forever.
Yeah.
When I was over at Talk, especially, how long did you have that show? And was that your original idea? And what made you think of doing something like that from a gas station perspective in a
Well,
repair shop?
I tell you, who got me the idea for that show was Wally. When talk radio was over at Eastgate,
Uh huh.
we started when it was 102.7, and Wally said that we're starting this radio station, and we need weekend shows. and we want to know if you wanted to do a car show. And we first did it from 7 until 8,
Yeah.
and then it morphed into 7 to 9. And you know what a lot of people don't know is when talk radio moved from 102.7 to 102.3, when they moved from Eastgate to the WGOW studios, they turned off the signal on 102.7 on Friday of talk radio, cut it back on Saturday morning at 7, and I was the first show ever on talk radio 102.3 WGOW,
Now
our car show.
that's a T-shirt right there.
Yeah,
That's a you're a little bit of history here in radio. That's
we were
pretty
the
good
first
that
show.
Shane
There was a
Mary.
bunch of guys in there, and they said, "All right, we're going to turn this thing on. We don't know if it's going to work or not, but just do a show." And they said, "Go at it."
Do you remember your
And
board op?
um,
I
I
wasn't
want to
Quake.
say I want to say it was Kyle.
May have been, but it wasn't Quake because Quake was a board op too, but he just worked specifically with Sport Talk and Jerry and
Yeah,
Gary
no,
at the
it wasn't.
time.
No, it wasn't Quake. He was big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
Well,
don't. Gosh, that was so long ago. I don't know. But I did 16 years at WGOW.
that's what I was going to ask. What
Yep.
year did you start? Was that 90 what?
90. Let's see. It
4?
was about a year and a half before they went to Eastgate. I mean, before they went to WGOW. We did it for about a year there at Eastgate.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so I thought I did
Yeah,
not. Okay, I see now. Yeah, because when I
yeah. It was.
started, I think they went to Eastgate in like 94 or something like that.
Yeah, that's
93
when.
something.
Yeah, we started in Eastgate. Matter of fact, Jim and Sal Geraci did the show after they did Let's Talk Money after us.
On
Uh,
Saturdays?
yeah, on Saturdays. Oh, the Saturday lineup on was just tremendous. They had a kid from Baylor that did a show. He's a real conservative, and he did a show. And Parker Smith would call in and play the
Oh.
devil's advocate.
Oh yeah,
And
Parker.
those two had some great ones. And then I mean they went all through the day. They had a guy that did a comedy show, played cuts off of comedy albums. Quake did a show on Saturdays, 11 o'clock, some kind of a sports show where they recap Friday nights.
Yeah.
This was before the red zone. I mean, we're going way
Wow.
back.
Yeah.
And then Christy Clark and
Oh.
those two guys that worked over Channel 9, they did this crazy show where the tagline was "Hop on the mattress," and they were on from like 9 to 11 or 9 to 12 at night. It was the greatest time for talk radio because there was no social media, and that was your social media. If you wanted
Yes.
to, you could call in. If you wanted to get your message out, they'd call in, take it on the air, and you could get your message out. And people listened. I mean, people
Oh.
really did listen.
I
It was,
tell people this all the time. I started at talk radio in 97, I think, 96. I can't remember. And I was there my first stint like 8 or 9 years. And I went back for about 3 or 4 years later. But uh, to me, there was about a 20-year period there that talk radio, maybe even 15 to 20, it was magical. And I know every community thinks they had it, but in this market, KZ carried it for so long, US 101 carried it, and they still do, Power 94. But man, talk was so unique, and it was a community. People, different colors, different perspectives, different politics, from sports to cars to whatever. It just covered the gamut, and you felt like you belonged.
well, when Sport Talk went from J. David Miller to the Haskews, and then when they went from AM to FM, that was huge.
Oh.
And Jerry and Gary would have they used to have parties.
Mhm.
And you wouldn't believe this, but they had a party before like the Florida game. And they had it one year when what Jay Alexander's is now used to be a TGI Fridays.
Yep.
Dave Ramsey used to own that TGI Fridays, matter of fact. It's one of the
Hmm.
ones properties he lost when he went south. And they had a party out there in front of TGI Fridays that I swear, Clint, there were 2,000 people there. I mean, they would bring out, because there was nothing else. There was no, that was, if you tuned into sports, you tuned into Sport Talk. And
Absolutely.
if you wanted to call in, by Thursday, you better get on that phone Monday because you'd be waiting the whole time. I
I
mean, it
tell
was just
everybody the 2
one after the
stories.
other.
It was one after the other. The 2 stories that, the power of talk radio, this was in the late '90s, early 2000s. We did a full day remote at Ram Tool and Supply. We did it
I
3 or 4
remember
years
those.
in a row. The first year we did it, second year was worse, believe it or not. But the first year we did it, we were expecting 400 or 500 people. My buddy Mark at Ram Tool, Mark, thousands. The police came and said, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" They had to put traffic out there. It was backed up down Amnicole. We ran out of food. I kid you not. We had enough food for 400 people. We ran out of food in about 25 minutes. And I looked up and I called pizza places and they were bringing stuff out. The second story, I think you'll appreciate this one because you had remotes out there. You had Gary out
Yeah.
there and talk Gary
Oh,
and
absolutely
Sport
did.
Talk. We did. This is back when Sprint, before it merged with Nextel. And, because my buddy Glenn Hobbs owned Nextel in Chattanooga,
Mhm.
Sprint was regionally advertising out of Nashville. This was probably 99, maybe 2000, 2001. So Sprint was out of my Hamilton place. I'd worked out a trade for the building with them. And we did a remote, Sport Talk remote, on a Thursday night or Friday. I think it may have been Thursday or Friday. Anyway, we get out there and they had a phone they were going to give away. Well, back in those days, that's a big deal, giving a phone
Yeah.
away. Gary Haskey says, "I know how we're going to give it away." And I go, "Well, you might want to tell the boy here." He goes, "No, we're good." I'm like, "All right." 5:30, he goes live, or 5 o'clock, he goes live, back from the break. And he goes, "All right, here's the deal. First person to bring a dog out here, you're going to get a phone." And now we got other stuff we're going to give away too. Now, what I didn't tell you is it was storming Armageddon. There was rain, wind. It was in the fall, so it was already kind of getting dark. It was a horrible weather day, terrible. And as soon as he started talking, I just looked at him like, because now he's on the air. I'm going, "What the hell are you doing?" Dude, we had 18 dogs.
Yeah.
18 dogs in the rain, and people were outside the windows going, "Did I win?" And the Sprint people were coming up with stuff to give away. I know it's a long story, but back to your point though, man, it was the place to be.
Oh, it was. They were amazing. You talk about Ram Tool. Can you imagine all those people on the Curtain Pole Road,
Oh,
that little old teeny two lanes in a ditch on
yes, it
each side.
was. It
And
sure is.
and but they were it was magical. It was it's really a shame that social media has kind of pushed it. No, I don't want to say push it to the side, but it's nothing stays the same,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
right.
nothing is as popular
Have you
as it
embraced
was.
social media pretty easy?
Yeah, let me tell you, Facebook. Everybody gets on Zuckerberg, and they always has complained about him. And I'm not a political animal. I don't care about people's politics. But I'm gonna tell you what Facebook has done for a small business like me. I can go live on Facebook. It costs me absolutely nothing other than the equipment that I buy in what platforms I want to use. And I can get out my message for free. And if I want to pay for it, I can do that too. If I want to enhance my message, I can pay Facebook to do that. But used to be when and you talk about 1985, if I wanted to have a tire sale, I would call down to the Free Press. They would send a salesman out and I'd tell him what I wanted to do. And I'd draw him sketch him a little thing. He would have to take it back downtown and let a copywriter paste it up, bring it back out for my approval, and take it back. And they would put it in the paper for one day at $450, a quarter page ad. And I didn't get to pick where they put it in the paper. If I wanted to pick, they charged me extra. And I
Yeah.
did that one time, and I'm looking in the paper for it. I can't find my ad, and it's next to the pennies ad for ladies' underwear. Now, for a tire ad next to the pennies ad for ladies' underwear. You know, did I sell a tire? No, I didn't sell a tire
Right.
because ladies don't buy tires. Men buy tires in the sports section. I'm marketing to ladies looking at underwear. They don't know what a tire is.
Yeah.
So, that's advertising for small business back then. So, what is done for somebody like me is, I mean, Clint, I have reached, I've done things where we've reached, 15,000 people on social media, and they heard my message, the more people that listen, the more, the more you expect to sell. And
Hmm.
that's the bottom line of selling. So, instead of, chastising Mark Zuckerberg, I think they ought to hang the Congressional Medal of Honor around his neck
For
and
small
say,
businesses, yeah.
yeah, it's like for small business, what he's done for us.
I don't know if you stole it from somewhere. I'm going to say you probably did. Well, I'm going to say you didn't. I'm going to give you credit because you came up with. I'm going to give you full credit for this. I think it was you that said this one time when I was out at your place. This again, probably mid to late '90s. Because talk radio, one of the things, and I never struggled with this. I loved it when people would say, "But that other station reaches 5 times as many people," and I'm like, "Yeah, but are they the right people?" And I think you told me one time I would rather talk to the right audience of 100 20 times than the bad audience of 10,000 once. And that's
That's
basically comparing rates and radio. And I
I
think that's what you said.
Glenn, I didn't get that from anybody. I always thought that. I told everybody I'd rather talk to 100 buyers than 1,000 listeners.
Yeah.
And that always made sense to me. That's why, I've had such a good relationship with talk radio. I mean, I still advertise on talk radio because it brings results in. Because
Mm,
that's the person I want. The person I want to come in is a local person, is a person that feels like they know me, that they can approach me, and we can talk about a tire, and or we can talk about a grill, we can talk about seasoning, we can talk about stuff like this,
yeah.
and have a sort of a relationship. I'm not going to invite them over to the house. They're not going to invite me over to the house. But at that gas station, when they come in, I'm not looking at a stranger,
Well,
and
but
that's
let's
to me that's great.
absolutely. But we're going to end it up here in just a minute talking about some of the stuff you sell, going back to that on the barbecue side, seasonings, because I didn't know you carried all the stuff you carry. But, one of the things that I saw from business owners as I was on the sales side of it, how many local businesses started doing business with other local businesses that they found through talk radio because they were in the community of advertisers. A
Absolutely.
contractor here, a car repair there, AC guy over here. All of a sudden, you're like, well, we're going to do business with each other. Why? First of all, we're spending money, and now we trust each other a little bit.
Well, Clint, I'm still the same way. Um, if I hear something on WGOW and I need it, boom, that's who I call.
That's awesome.
And I trust them enough, and if they do a good job, we pass it on, and people when I do a good job, people pass it on too. So I think it puts pressure on you to perform in
Mhm.
business because it's local. I mean, Chattanooga is so unique. We're not a city. We're a big town.
Mhm.
Chattanooga is not a city. We're a goofy little place. I mean, I've always said that. We are so. The difference between Knoxville and Chattanooga is, Knoxville's cosmopolitan. Knoxville, they're smarter up there. I mean, they just are. They're smarter. But down here, we have more fun, and we don't take things as seriously. I mean, look the way we govern. I mean, they don't do that kind of stuff in Knoxville, but they do it down here, and that's what makes us unique. You can pick up the phone and call Weston Wamp. I mean, Weston Wamp's our county mayor. My gosh, everybody's known Weston since he was a kid.
Yep.
I mean, and and our county mayor is out there picking up trash with his ball cap turned backwards, and
I've got
is
Tim Kelly's cell number in my phone and bought stuff from him for years. And now he's the mayor. He's the mayor
yeah,
of Chattanooga.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody, we bought a Cadillac from him.
Yeah.
Now he's our mayor. You knew him. I know the guy.
I didn't even think
I know
about
what to
that.
expect.
Yeah.
It's like our commissioner Jeff Eversole. I mean, he ran the Kmart's. I mean, he ran the Walmarts here for 50 years.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jeff.
Yep.
Um, I mean, we know each other. It's a small town. It's like that. Oh, what's that song by who's that guy from Canada that just died recently? I don't know. It's the
I don't know.
circle's small. The circle
Oh,
is small, man.
yeah.
It's and we've got such a unique place. It's good in some ways, bad in some ways, but it's what we got, and
It's home.
it's home.
It's home.
And when anything outside comes in, we do pull together. And it's a great
Absolutely.
place to live, but I think that's what gives it such a charm. It's a big town. It's not a city. We're a big town.
Hey, I want to ask you as we get ready to wrap this up. I was surprised at how much of product you sell as far as seasonings. Do you sell other accessories too? If I were to
Yeah.
walk into your place, it's not just like a few things.
Oh no, no.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds of seasonings. We sell Green Mountain pellet grills. I've got thousands of bags of pellets. Um, Gosh, I've got accessories. We've got grill grates for your grill. If Clint, if you ever want to cook the ultimate steak, I've got a tool that you put on your grill that it stops flare ups. It makes your steak even more tastier. It's
What?
unbelievable. Yeah.
What is it? Is it like what is it? A magic mat? What are we doing?
No, it's an anodized aluminum apparatus that you put right on the grates of your grill called grill grates, and it turns your and these things get hot, and it puts flavor stripes on it. You can put a design on it. It takes your steak up to the next level.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
oh, it's and yeah, they're $100. They're not expensive. Um, we sell things like that. But what really, we've never had that in Chattanooga.
Mm-mm.
In Atlanta they've got several of them and they're huge. But it's a game of numbers. I tell people, we got the best selection of grilling stuff in Chattanooga by far. I mean, by far. And that's not by design. It's just I'm so interested in it and I like it so much and I wanted to offer so much and I had the space. And the rent's already paid for. That's you know what I mean?
The
I'm not
space is
inventing.
there.
Yeah, the space is there. And I tell them it's a numbers game. People say, well, they got a real big one in Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's got 500,000 people living on the Baird Parkway. You know, we don't even have that many in the county.
That's right.
So it's you gotta market to what you got. Dance
Yeah.
with what brung you. But for our size town, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good size store.
And how many, just last thing, how many seasonings do you think you have? How many different seasonings?
Oh gosh,
Hundreds?
150, 100,
Wow.
150 at least.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to get them out and
I
count them.
got to
But
come see your place, dude. I haven't been there in a while. Like I said,
it's every.
I don't get to Ooltewah much anymore.
I'll say this: when people come in there, they the first if they've never been in, when they come through those double doors, they'll stop and they'll go, oh my gosh. And it's the same thing Jim Reynolds said when he came in first time. He said, "Oh my gosh," and it's amazing. And I don't have shoot, I don't have 5% of what's out there.
Wow.
So it's
You,
it's a neat place. But what I think we've got that separates us is, it's myself, Pete. My two best salesmen. It's I can always tell them it's like that Seinfeld episode where Kramer goes to work at that place, but he doesn't really work there, and the guy
mhm.
fires him and says, I hate to fire you. He goes, oh, I don't even work here. That's Jeff. That's Jeff and Pete. They work there, but they don't. But they
Right.
hang out there and they sell more than I do
Yeah.
because those two guys are salespeople. I'm not. I'm saying I'm a concierge. I'll tell you how to fix it, or I'll tell you how to do it.
Hmm.
But they know all the products and backwards and forwards and the benefits. So it's kind of a unique experience coming in there.
You got any other plans? You happy with it where it's at now? You going to expand a little bit, do anything different, or right now you just enjoying the ride? What it's doing?
And it's always I'd like to get back to competing someday. That's a lot of fun. But if I don't, I'm happy teaching. I love teaching and seeing people send me back pictures going, hey Steve, we did it this way you said to, and man, it was great. That's the best part about teaching somebody is, getting the feedback. Um, or selling a grill, and every time I sold a grill to Scott Owens out in Saudi Daisy today, real nice fella. And every time I sell a grill, I put their name and their phone number in my phone and what they bought. So if they have a problem when they call, I know who it is and I know what they bought, and I
Wow.
know to make sure I answer the telephone so I can help them. And that's kind
Wow.
of it's kind of customer service I like to give. I like to know the people that I'm selling stuff to.
How do people find your content? Like YouTube, Facebook, of course. Tell people
It's
where they can
all
go
under
find out.
Owl's Nest Barbecue. All you got to do is Google Owl's Nest Barbecue and we pop right up.
Scott Brown, good painter. Scott Brown, friend of mine, good dude. Thank you, Scott,
Yeah.
for watching. I knew you were going to tune in. He talked the other day. I posted that picture and he goes, "I'm hungry. I'm ready to." So I kind of knew he was going to be tuning in.
No,
Um,
yeah, this little lunch thing we do from 11 until 2, Clint. It's unique. We I do hot dogs, macaroni and cheese, and pulled pork barbecue. And sometimes I'll do a brisket too. Of course, when I do the brisket, it sells out really quick because everybody
yeah.
loves brisket. But it's getting to be it's going to have a real good following, and every week it gets a little bit bigger and bigger. So hopefully one day you'll see the lines out the door. That's what I'm looking for. Is everybody,
And you're out
you
there
know,
working the crowd, man.
yeah, yeah, you get a hot dog for $3. I mean, it's cheap food. That's
Yeah.
what people like. You get a pulled pork sandwich for 5. We're not charging chalet prices. It's all homegrown stuff.
And you can go ahead and fill your tank, get your car filled up and get your tires fixed too. I
No,
mean, what the heck else do you want, people?
there was a guy in there today. He goes, he's up at the cash register. He got a tire fixed, and he's got his tire fixed. He's paying for his gas, and he looks over and he goes, "Hey Steve, make me two pork." He said, "Make me two pork sandwiches." I said, "You got it, Ken." And he goes, "This is the greatest place in the world. I got my tire fixed, I got gas, and I'm leaving with two pork sandwiches." He goes, "This has got to be the goofiest place in the world."
That sounds a little Mayberry-ish, man. It's like I said, it's like the Floyds and the characters hanging
Hey,
out and
everybody
just
knows the best food's at the gas station. And for some reason, the
absolutely.
best food's always at the gas station. Isn't
I
that
remember
crazy?
eating Texaco fried chicken, man. I would eat that all the time.
The number one barbecue place in Kansas City, Missouri, which is the capital of barbecue in this country, is in a gas station.
Is it
Joe's
really?
Barbecue. Yeah,
Never, I didn't know that. Hey,
yeah.
Steve, I'm gonna let you roll, man. I hope everybody goes checks out Owl Nest Barbecue on YouTube and Facebook, and then sometime next week I'm gonna come up there and grab me some lunch and see your place. I've not been there for years,
Man,
and
we'll get you. We'll get you a couple dogs, and we'll get you going.
we'll take some pictures and hang out a little bit.
Clint Powell, thank you, buddy.
No, thank you, man. I really appreciate the trip down memory lane. I'm glad you're
You
doing
bet.
good, sir.
Thank you,
All right,
sir.
bye.
Good
See
talking
you,
to you.
everybody.